All right, let's talk politics. So, over the weekend, since Biden's disastrous debate, I have been keeping tabs on what the mainstream media is consumed or is talking about, and I've consumed more mainstream media than I have probably, I don't know, maybe in total, like maybe more than my entire life combined. Okay, because I don't generally consume mainstream media in any quantity. I did have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, I guess, come to think of it, for a while, and occasionally I would read like a New York Times article or something like that. But as far as what I listen to on YouTube, it's pretty much all been alternative news sources or smaller joints or that kind of thing. Well, so anyway, mainstream media. There's just a really interesting flip flop that the media has done, because prior to the debate, it was like, oh, Joe Biden, he's not that bad. It was sort of it's not that bad, right? It's still much better. Like a little bit. He's aging a little bit, but that's fine. He's still very sharp. Very sharp. Sharp seems to be the word people like. Sharp. And of course, Joe Scarborough was probably the most. He probably had the most ringing endorsement of Biden's sharpness, that how cogent he was and everything. I don't remember I'm not sure what the exact words were, but he was very, very enthusiastic about Biden's mental state. And then after the debate comes out, he goes like 180 degrees on it, basically. So crazy stuff, very obvious. Like, you think about these, apparently these, career talking heads in mainstream media. It's very obvious that many of them, at least, like, either they're just not that smart and they didn't realize that Biden was pretty bad off, or it truly just wasn't that obvious that Biden was substantially declining. I feel like it was, but then again, I'm not in their world, so maybe for some reason it was hidden from their eyes. But that would be another maybe alternative, is that the people around Biden just kept it from them so well they just weren't able to detect it. Does not seem correct, the correct theory. I think the more correct theory is that when you're working for a mainstream media, ultimately you're trying to please your bosses and please your viewing audience. And so long as your bosses and your viewing audience are in favor of Biden, you try to put as much lipstick on as you can. And you try to, this is, after all, this is a tribal affair, right? We're in tribes, and we like to, organize by tribe. And so if you're a mainstream media, it's all about bashing Trump and saying how Biden is a pretty good option. Pretty good, very sharp. Very with it. And maybe even implying that he's even better behind closed doors than he is out in public. And oh my goodness! So after the debate comes out, there's no place to hide now. Basically, it's like, guys, it was bad. And so it was fascinating how quickly it flipped for the media to be like, "Oh, boys, are we in serious trouble here?" And so it became acceptable for the media to raise questions about Biden's fitness after the debate, whereas before it was not acceptable, apparently. And now it is true that the debate provided a very in-your-face view of Joe Biden's age and his apparent dementia or Parkinson's or something along those lines, some sort of mental decline, which, by the way, not fun, I would think, for him and his family to be dealing with. I had a grandma who had dementia, and she went through some very strange stuff, seeing people that weren't there, and just very unpleasant, some very unpleasant things. So anyway, my mom was very involved in her care, I believe, and so it was, it's not, that sort of thing can be very, very hard for a family to kind of work through, and, to care for and all that. So this is not making fun of somebody's medical condition, actually. What it is, if there's somebody that needs to be called out, probably, it is number one. I would say would be the media for pretending like Biden was just fine, and then suddenly, oh no, he's terrible. So that flip flop was so radical. Now, it's made for some really interesting watching to see how they're responding now to this, and to put in the how that they're putting pressure to some extent, on the Biden camp to like maybe, maybe bow out. The other people I think that should be called out would be the family around Biden, and it's apparently the people with the most sway are his family in deciding whether or not he continues to run, and you just have to question, right, whether Biden has very much agency in this decision, or whether this is mostly a decision of Jill Biden and or Hunter, etc. So, pretty crazy stuff. That so there's some other sides to this thing too, right? So the other side of it is, right, you could say, well, okay, there's a few angles here. One is if you're a conservative or a Trump supporter, and you may want Biden to stay in because you feel like your chances with him are strong, because outside of a miracle, which I do believe miracles happen, but outside of a healing miracle, it's highly unlikely that Joe Biden's going to get better unless there's some breakthrough in medical technology or something. But this mental decline is typically, and I'm sure they're getting, probably some top of the line medical assistance, but mental decline usually is a one-way street, and like I said, not something I wish on people. But if you're a Trump supporter, your odds are looking pretty strong right now. The betting markets, I think, are at something like a 5-1 on Trump winning versus Biden. I think Trump's odds, if I just a little bit of checking I did, was maybe somewhere around 55% of him winning the election, and I think Biden's had dropped down to like maybe 22%, something like that. So you can check me on maybe that's not 5-1, but you get the idea. The odds are much better for Trump than they are for Biden.